fun-filled and somewhat difficult times, but we'll all get through them together. I thank everyone for being here tonight with the weather the way it is. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Yeah, sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on, obviously, first of the year. Let's see, we have guests today. So let's start with the introduction of our guest tonight. I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Adam, and so I just got my private pilot license 2 weeks ago.
Woohoo.
To help out. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's see. Let's see. Because you're not all members yet.
All right. Nice to meet y'all. Whoever was here in the last meeting, my name is Christopher Wilson, private service. Over here to basically help out, and get hands-on with CAP in this area.
Excellent.
I'm Chelsea. I'm his wife. He's just been asking me to come. So.
Nice. Don't worry. We don't bite hard. And did you get fully in already?
I'm still working through my.
Well, remind everyone who you
But
are.
everything, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Big update. Obviously, new year. Fiscal year actually was in October, right after I took command. If you haven't paid your dues for this year, please pay your dues. This is a nonprofit organization, and we're volunteers. This facility and its hangar, very expensive to maintain. So if you haven't paid your dues, please do it. You'll also see reminders in your emails for the same thing. Just want to make sure I get that out there. Mr. Lopez, front and center. Christian Lopez, you have two things going on, actually. So, number one is congratulations for completing your level 2, which also enables you to be promoted to first lieutenant. So, congratulations. And if you need the bars, I can get you the bars a little bit later, but since we didn't plan it, I'm not going to pin anything on your shoulders right now. But congratulations, First Lieutenant Christian Lopez. Oh, this guy. All right. Starting off the year great. Continuing on. I think 216 Charlie Papa is actually fully mission capable, but I think we're keeping it a little bit down because it's 10 hours from annual. So, and there's an advanced SARX this weekend, so we're trying to preserve its hours. But as far as I know, it's in good condition. The 172 still not here, still in Phoenix. Sometime next month is keep what I hear. I have seen one of the new 172s. They're pretty slick. So we had one down at Imperial for some reason last week. But yeah, G1000 172. No weight and balance and no DF. So have fun. Knock out your proficiency with those aircraft. Tahoe. Anything new about the Tahoe? I think he's in the room doing inventory.
In fact, SM Hoover just washed the top
What?
for us today.
To get it ready for all the stuff that's going to get blown on it today.
Drug out to the desert.
Yeah, to get drug out to the desert.
He
Yeah,
did
that's
a
it.
fine job on that.
Excellent.
But no updates. We have not gotten the key fob replaced.
Yeah, because it's a popular vehicle for some reason. It's never here. But yeah, it's that's our vehicle so far. I mean, this 172 isn't our vehicle, but 216 has had a rough life since it's been with us, but seems to be flying okay right now. Getting started with some of the upcoming events. Very busy schedule for the month of January. This coming weekend, a lot of us are in the Group 3 SARX. It's 11 and 12. It's an advanced SARX, so it's larger than normal. If you still haven't signed up and you still have some things that you want to get signed off on, I think I don't even know if you can still get in. I know there were 89 people, is what they said.
92 as of yesterday.
Yeah, we had a couple pilots drop out, so that's been causing some issues. I think right now we have more planes than pilots, which it is what it is. We're sending a bunch of kids out into the desert with no water and food. I mean, do exercises out in the desert. I think Chuck, you're going to be out in the desert, or are you staying here?
No, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
CUL for this.
So your cohort will be out there in the desert relaying messages. You're not going to do SUIS?
No, I got things to do in CUL, so I'm here
Okay.
all weekend.
Okay. Yeah, it's supposed to be interesting. I think they're going out to Landers, California. It's out in the desert. It's somewhat complicated airspace, so I'm interested in how we're gonna do all this. But
You're the AOBD.
I'm an AOBD trainee, so I don't get to make all the big shot decisions. I just get all the filling out forms work. But yeah, I'm trying to finish up my AOBD so that I can get the big chair and have to wring my hands and gnash my teeth over this stuff. But it's pretty big. I know if you really have an itching and you've got an empty weekend and you want to get in and get something signed off, they can probably fit you in. I don't think base staff is going to be too heavy, at least not here.
No, but we can always use the help.
Yep. So
if you are interested in drones, there is a couple of drone missions going on, and there will be a drone set.
ooh,
And
dang.
they will be out in the desert.
Eh, I can't do two things at once. That is the problem with SARXs. Well, problem slash, whatever. You're supposed to concentrate on what you're doing, and most of the way our training works, there's initial training, then there's FAM and prep, and then there's advanced training. And the way that always works is after all the kind of ground school portion, the classroom study of the role you're trying to do, then there is practical, a practical test or practical knowledge, really. You go do it. You prove that you can be left alone to do the job that you're trying to do. For base staff, it starts with mission staff assistant. Honestly, that one's fairly simple, but it will teach you what's going on at the base. Most of us had to. I mean, if you're going that route, you need to take the ICS, which means you're going to learn how to interface with base staff and how things go on. But that is typical of Civil Air Patrol training, is 2 sets of learning and then a kind of practical application with your mentor, with your trainer, and then a final participation where it's just you doing the job unsupervised. Well, not unsupervised, but making sure you can do it by yourself. That's how pretty much all training works at Civil Air Patrol, including mission pilots. You will have training, and then you will have some practical application, and then you'll be expected to go on a mission while being evaluated, similar to the line operating environment for the airline people. So if you're trying to get one of those closed out, that's what a SARX is good for. Everything from the flying to the ground, to UDF, to drones, to any of the base staff positions. These SARXs are where you get those sign-offs done. So there's one this weekend. It's a big one. It's advanced. It's getting, the closer we get, the little more spaghetti meatball it gets. But it should be fun this weekend. It'll be a long weekend, so look forward to that. Next one is Group 7 also has a SARX coming up at the end of the month, January 25th and 26th. Since weather clearly can be an issue, February 1 and 2 will be the alternate dates if weather ends up canceling that. There's a link in the meeting agenda if you do want to sign up for that and lather, rinse, and repeat on getting something signed off. The next thing to come is a mission scanner and mission observer school. This will be in February 8th and 9th here. The MS. Oh, is it? Oh, I always forget that part because I'm just talking away here. Shall we just go with the screen? All right. No matter if you want to be a pilot or you're not a pilot and you want to do other things, the first step in aircrew is always mission scanner. So even if you are a pilot and you want to be a mission pilot, you have to be a mission scanner first. Mission scanner sits in the back left side of the aircraft and puts Mark 1 eyeballs outside the aircraft, and you learn the techniques to scan, and to sit in the back of an aircraft for 3 hours and not throw up, because that is pretty much what the job is. There's also aerial photography, which goes hand in hand with the mission scanners. Similar type of work, except for you're taking pictures, not just using Mark 1 eyeballs. For those of you that are pilots, MS is very straightforward. It is a very watered down version of ground school, because as the first step in air crew, you need to know how to operate around Civil Air Patrol aircraft, which most of us pilots already understand these things, and understand airspace and understand maps and how to read them and that type of thing. If you're not a pilot, that doesn't mean you can't be air crew. It just means it's going to be a little heavier of a lift. So we've decided to have these schools where we do train MS and MO, which is the scanners and observers, with particular attention to a division of if you are pilots, because it is a little easier to teach, or if you're non-pilots, and then we'll have to spend a little more time to get you up to speed. But either way, the goal is to make you an effective air crew member. So if you're interested in that, and you're not currently an MS or an MO, sign up. I think as soon as they have the sign up link, I'll put it in the agenda, but be wary of that and set some time aside. For those of us that are currently level 2, that want to be level 3, one of the requirements is attending a regional, national, or wing conference. So the PCR conference in Portland is the next kind of available conference. If you happen to be in Portland and it's April 19th, you should think of stopping by. They haven't said if they're going to do an online version or an online participation, but you should also keep your eye out for those, because those do count for your participation in one of the national, regional, or wing conferences. Moving on. As I mentioned, upcoming ORIDES, aircrew training opportunities. The whole goal of the mission scanner, mission observer schools is to put people in the back of the plane to get that sign off done. It seems like it's a fairly easy thing to do, but logistics here at CAP are always a little bit crazy. So we try to dedicate times to get this done. Those of you that are new or thinking of joining or in the process of joining, whether you're a pilot or not, this is something you're going to have to do. So keep an eye on every time we say that there's MS training. And then, like I mentioned, the SARX is going to be this weekend, and obviously I'll put up another row for the next SARX on the list so we can kind of keep track of it and just bombard you with you can never say I didn't tell you that these were going to happen, because they do come in clumps. Yes, sir.
Just kind of rolling back a little bit, on January 16th, our national commander is having a conference.
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Counts for your conference credit.
National commander, I can't spell.
So that's coming up on the 16th. It says 8 p.m. Eastern time was the new schedule. It was supposed to be the 19th.
8 p.m.?
Yes, sir. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Oh.
I guess.
Okay. Glad you mentioned that.
So the good news is, I mean, that counts as a national conference.
Excellent.
Is that a link that we could join?
I
Yeah,
will.
You should have gotten an email.
Yeah.
I saw that. I just want to clarify.
And I will dig it out and add it to this agenda. By the way, everybody, the agenda, when I create these, they are accessible to the entire squadron. So if I mentioned something but you forgot, or I said something and you didn't know what it was, the agendas are posted in our team's general channel under files and meetings. So if you miss something, these agendas are there.
And I'm not sure why they want you to, but they want you to go to Absorb to...
Probably to get the credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, good call out. That's a good one, because I need to check that box too.
And then going on Teams?
What's
Or
that?
are we going to meet in this building here and then join via Teams?
I don't think
or
16th
each
is a
individual?
16th isn't a Tuesday. That is a Thursday.
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 Yes, a Thursday.
You do it from home.
Yeah, I just read that could have been an option. didn't know
I mean,
what we were doing.
Hey, this is your squadron. It's not my squadron. And so if you want to come in and do it on the big screen, we could probably figure that out. I have a super long commute, so I probably wouldn't be able to make it. But if everyone wants to come in and cast it to the big screen, that's cool too. Again, this is your facility. These are your resources. But good call out. All right. As always, we need a recruitment officer, even though technically everybody in Civil Air Patrol, we're all recruitment officers if you look at it. But so just keep in mind if that tickles your fancy, hit me up. Otherwise, one of the things that if you are interested in flying and or a pilot and or have a plane or just like to eat food near aircraft, there's something called an antique aircraft display. I do it with my plane, mainly for tax purposes. For those of you who don't know, if you own an aircraft, you basically just take a lot of money and you light it on fire. If you want to light less money on fire and give it to the tax board, a plane that is older than I believe 1975 qualifies as an antique. So you display that aircraft at various locations. It's a registered activity. They sign you off. They take your tail number, and come February, we say, hey, I've done this 12 times a year. I get out of having to pay my yearly taxes on the fact that I own an aircraft. These displays make fun weekend activities, whether you're with friends or family or both. If you have a love of flying, you will see a lot of crazy aircraft. I've seen a lot of different things at these displays. Most of these are held at airports that have cafes or some sort of thing to do while you're there. So it's a good time if you're going to do that. It's a good time to kind of show up with people that are like-minded about aircraft and talk CAP. So that's why I put it in the recruitment section. I notice I'm having so many different ways of spelling Gapison. I'm going to have to figure this out. The problem is I'm doing these quickly, and it's like, work's been busy this year. So once again, just kind of a recap overview of the things coming up. You know what? And I will add the national conference. You got a hand raising?
Yes. The way you have it right there is correctly spelled.
This one.
This one, yes.
So yes, I corrected that one up there. Yeah. I snuck it in there.
I just looked up an email I got from.
Yeah, we all know who we're talking about. There's only one Gapison, I think, right? All right, so January 16th, and I think you said it was at 1700 Pacific?
Yes, sir.
No, Eastern.
No,
No,
Did you say Eastern? I
it's
thought you said-
2000 Eastern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They said 8 p.m.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh no! All the clicking. Please tell me I'm doing that right, because sometimes I start typing away, things happen. All right, so SARX next weekend, followed by Thursday next week, the National Commander Conference. If you can attend, you should do that. Followed by end of the month, Group 7's SARX. And it's weird, Group 7. I always thought maybe I'm thinking of Group 8. Anyways, it's going to be at Fullerton. So poor Fullerton. I don't know if you all know, but there was a plane crash there recently. So, and it's a little bit busier space, so that'll be interesting.
Did you hear how that crash occurred?
I saw the Blancalerio on it.
Pretty odd.
It was weird that he asked for a return to the runway and then flew in the pattern. So he should have just brought the plane down.
I think it was Gold Standard posted about it and said that he basically panicked because the door opened in flight.
Yes. Yeah. So new PPLs, old PPLs, we're all taught this. The doors aren't a problem. The plane will fly with the doors open. It's incredibly annoying. We open windows on CAP planes to take pictures. It's noisy, but it does not hurt the aircraft. it's an important. What are we taught? I mean, you just took your check ride, right? Aviate, communicate. Yeah, so aviate, navigate, communicate. So door opens. I mean, first of all, I'm very specific in my passenger briefings. I'm sure most of you are. I fly a Piper Cherokee. Good luck trying to open the door, but if the door does pop open, it's fine. And I tell people all the time, it's absolutely fine. You won't be able to move the door. Don't worry about it. It's loud. I'll land. We'll get it done. There's a secret trick to closing the door while it's in flight on a Piper Cherokee. You can do it. But it should be part of the passenger briefing. Door pops open. Don't worry about it. It's just loud. It's annoying. We might lose a couple papers out of the plane, but just focus and fly. And then there's the whole thing about briefing your emergencies, right? So we're supposed to brief an emergency on takeoff, right? What do we do if something happens between now and cruise? And we talk about it, and the whole purpose of talking about that is so we just immediately do it. There's no more thought. We just do what we're supposed to be doing. And it looks like in both cases, it kind of just didn't do those two things. Well, number one, the plane flies. Number two, do what you briefed on your takeoff emergency. So it's a lesson to us all. Civil Air Patrol is very safety oriented. I was a brand new private pilot when I joined Civil Air Patrol. I'm still not a VFR pilot, but that's a whole different situation. But part of the reason I joined is I went to RFA as well. Is I wanted to start a base of my flying career with safe piloting. And when you start flying with mission pilots here at CAP, when you become a TMP or a VFR pilot, TMP, mission pilot, we fly safe and we fly with good CRM and we use checklists, we use the procedures, we follow those procedures. I mean, it's just ingrained into you, right? So it's a great way to start your flying career, and if you're rusty, it's a great way to knock the rust off and become a much safer pilot. And plus, we do, I mean, think about this. We are technically paying for you to be proficient and safe. So, it's a great deal. So accidents like this, we hate to see it, but, it's part of our community. But, safety first, do what we're trained to do, and, we'll be as safe as you possibly can. On that fun note. Following after the SARX at the end of the month, 1st of February will be the Mission Scanner School. I think I said MSMO, but I think we're just doing scanners because we learned the first time we tried to mash those two up, it wasn't the best experience because, again, for those of you who are not in CAP yet, mission scanners, they sit on the left behind the pilot, and their job is to put Mark 1 eyeballs out of the aircraft, log everything they see, use a correct scan pattern, and be the air crew in the back of the plane and generally help out when the plane's on the ground. Mission observers, this is where depends on. Oh, good. We have all new people. I think I've been in the CAP the longest of everybody in this room. Wow, this is a moment for me. Normally, I'm surrounded by a bunch of lieutenant colonels who've been here for 30 years, and they call me crazy. I'm very particular about mission observers because I'm a FAA certificated pilot. I don't have enough hours to be a mission pilot. So I want to build a new cadre of MOs, of mission observers that know the job the way it used to be. Oh, wait a minute. David's back there. Oh, dang it. Ruined it. But the mission observer is the mission manager. They're the one running the mission. The pilot is the bus driver, and it's a fun job. It's definitely not as bad as driving a charter bus, but the mission pilot is there to get the aircraft into the mission area, perform the mission, and do it safely. The mission manager, the mission observer, is the one who's supposed to actually run that mission. So, as far as it used to be, they're making it a little difficult for us, but we do the paperwork. We figure out the mission. We figure out the best way to get in and get out, and we help the pilot with these type of things. With what are we trying to accomplish? We manage the crew in the aircraft. We communicate over the cap radios. That's the job of the observer, so that the pilot can be freed up to fly the plane safely. But here at CAP, over the last maybe 20 years or so, we've had less and less training for observers. More and more task loading on the mission pilots. So the mission pilots have ended up kind of doing both jobs, and observers get worse and worse and worse. So I want to change that. I want a new cadre of observers that actually know the job, that are trained to do it, that are happy to do it. And I can give you an example of, just my last weekend with IPL. Um, I want pilots to ask for me specifically because I do my job correctly. Now, if we can have all MOs being asked for all the time because they all do their job, that's what we want to go for. But what we found is the training for MS and the training for MO should be different. I think CAP too long has treated them as kind of equal. That's an MS. They're both non-pilots. They're not flying the plane, so who cares? They have different jobs. Now, whether you're a pilot or not, obviously it's easier to be a mission observer if you're a pilot. It's obviously easier. You're sitting in the right seat. You have the same credentials. You know how to fly aircraft. That's cool. But how do you take non-pilots and make them MOs? That's really the key. So this is just a mission scanner school, which is the first step in the process of whether you're going to be an observer or whether you're going to be a mission pilot. It's the first step. Everybody has to go through it. Everybody has to sit in the back of the plane and get sick. So, that's what the school's for. Whew. And then, are we still on for that communications conference?
My understanding is it is at risk. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't remove it off your
Okay.
list.
It says tentative, so, all right. And we'll see. We'll see if there's a communications conference. But, the other thing about communications is, sometimes it's downplayed. Depends on the squadron, right? Like, we don't talk about it a lot, even though Charles is a CUL and whatever qualified. We've got HF antennas on top of this building that can reach into like Oregon. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes on the communication side. So if you're at all a little bit tech geeky, there's a lot to get into because CAP has a lot of very expensive communications equipment, and we have a network that will live past cell coverage going down in the case of a disaster. So it is always an avenue that is interesting to learn about if you are interested in being like a ham operator. It's one of the best places to be because you're going to get your hands on equipment that lets you put that skill to use. So I won't belabor it. I'm sure Chuck at one day will want to belabor that.
And depending upon your level of involvement, they will supply you with HF radios for your home location if you do engage yourself with that. And they're very high-end radios.
Yep. Yeah, and we even have. So I just finally got all that. Well, it's in process. If you don't want to have a bunch of antennas or radios at your house, because you're not quite that geeky, but I'm that geeky, but my wife would have a problem with it. Some of our repeaters are actually connected to the internet, and you can monitor them with ReadyOp. So it's really cool stuff. Anyways.
Little side note for this weekend, we're going to experiment utilizing HF to communicate direct from here to the ground camp.
Oh, is he going to have an HF radio?
We are going to have an HF radio out there, so should be interesting.
Make sure he takes pictures.
And we're going to be doing ALE, which is kind of a subset of HF.
Yeah.
Should be interesting.
And make sure he takes pictures because he's going to be using the big antenna, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I've only seen that thing once. Is he going to use that mobile setup they have up at Brackett, or?
I think they're just doing it. I think they've got a SUV with built-in HF antenna and HF radio.
Because see, once I saw Bert's was involved, they have like an RV or something like that has all that stuff on it. I think they were just going to drive that out into the desert and then cook meth. Use the radios. Sorry, different assignment. Breaking Bad, anyone?
Be a good test to see the viability of utilizing HF.
No, that'll be cool. That'll be really cool. Okay. So like I said, comm stuff. I know it sounds, I don't want to get into comm stuff, but the planes, we use the aircraft for, mobile repeaters. So, it's part of what we do. All right. Before I move on, you were looking like you had a question. Nope. Okay. Yeah, that's my look. I'm supposed to be doing that. General announcements. Pilot onboarding. I'll cast a sideways glance at Mr. Connor over here. There have been some changes in how onboarding works in 70-1. 70-1 is the governing body for our policies and regulations around being a pilot. What? The Bible. Yeah, I didn't want to say that. But it is our Bible. We open a mission that allows you to fly proficiency and onboarding and things like that. Onboarding is simply, okay, you're a pilot and you want to fly for Civil Air Patrol. I usually explain this ad nauseum for everybody who gets the twinkle in their eye that they're going to fly the red, white, and blue aircraft. Is we have a considerable amount of bureaucracy before you get to do that. Number one is join. Number two is kind of get through level one. Level one is the cap onboarding, which is you're going to learn about what we do here, how the organization works, and the three pillars of what we do. You don't have to go any further after that, as far as ranks and all that kind of stuff, because you don't get your first rank after level one, by the way. But we want you to know how the organization works. But you have to get at least level one to be onboarded as a pilot. You can be a senior member, fly planes, and have a great time. I think they did change the frequency of proficiency flying, because I think it used to be once a quarter, now it's once a month. We have an emergency clinic proficiency is that once or twice a year now?
Twice a year.
So you want to learn how to do the impossible turn? We have instructors that will teach you how to do the impossible turn without killing yourself. I don't do it in my plane, so I don't know. I'd rather do it in a CAP plane. But all those things that we're supposed to be doing to stay sharp, and especially because in general in CAP we want to fly like professional pilots. You get to do all of those things, and the Air Force subsidizes us to do that. So also, one big benefit, it's one of the few that we can directly attach to monetary, is the minute you get your VFR credential, which is you've checked out, we have a check ride called a Form 5. Once you've checked out in at least one model of aircraft, you get ForeFlight for free. So, and it's not like the cheesy ForeFlight, you get the military flight bag. So if that's an incentive, that's a direct monetary, assistance to you as a pilot. But anyways, we can go on and on about pilot onboarding.
You have a question on the ForeFlight that I can't seem to couldn't find a sure answer on online. Does that include the Jefferson charts?
No, I wish it did, but if it had, everybody would sign up.
Work with Jefferson.
Yeah.
On the cap subscription.
Yeah.
So you can't have both.
Well, you can still have Jefferson, I believe, but you're paying for that.
Use it on your ForeFlight
Oh,
military. You can create a new ForeFlight account.
does it make you do that now? I thought that that sucks. Are you doing Jefferson for your IFR? Yeah, it's so much easier. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess we're screwed if our IFR pilots are on Jefferson.
It's a big complaint that
It'd be
at Wing Conference again.
You would think they would do it just like so. So the way it works with the whole ForeFlight thing is, let's say you have ForeFlight today, and you're paying for whatever plane you're paying for, and then you pass your Form 5. We submit an email. What it does is it takes your ForeFlight account and upgrades it to military flight bag and pauses whatever you've already bought. So if you drop out of proficiency, you don't take your Form 5 within a year, you will go back to the plan you had with the time you had left. So that's why I was thinking, well, if you have Jefferson, it just snaps on top of it, but it's actually completely separate.
Your name and everything in the ForeFlight. So you go from you to comma, your last name, comma, whatever.
What, your cap ID or something? Yeah. Boo. Well, there's an answer. It's not a good answer. Yes, sir.
Speaking of ForeFlight, has there been any more movement on giving it to MOs?
No. And I wish they did. Because I mean, there was like one year. I think I can't remember if it was 2022 or 2023. I mean, I had the most MO hours in the wing. And I had to pay for my own ForeFlight. So yeah, I was like, yeah, because just like I said, as mission manager, it's important for us. I don't use ForeFlight the same way when I'm flying. So if I'm the mission manager, I use ForeFlight very differently. I mean, I get the same information and traffic and all that kind of stuff, but I'm typically in aerial mode, the aerial map, because when I see something, I'm using a visual reference and then I'm putting a GPS coordinate on it. The past few times I've been at IPL and I've called sightings, they're like, the Border Patrol is like, wow, that lat long was like dead on. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is, because I know how to do my job. But, we learn how to do it with the G1000s. It'll be a little bit inaccurate, because the G1000 is going to tell you where you are. And unless you are kind of offsetting and doing your own kind of visual math on how many nautical miles it is, it's just going to be a little bit different. So again, the way I use ForeFlight, it helps me also pace with the pilot. So if my pilot is doing an IFR approach, I can actually be of assistance because I can watch for all the other things, in addition to being a safety pilot, I can watch for things that are going on in the approach itself. So, I think this has been a.
I believe the MO should do a lot more of the pre-flight planning,
Yep.
as far as which way you're going, how you're going to get there. I mean, obviously with the pilot's
Yeah.
concurrence,
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be helpful if we at least have some idea, like, hey, and how else are we going to learn? I have a flight plan that I want to fly. The pilot has a flight plan they want to fly, but how are you going to learn how pilots make their decisions, right? I mean, that's yeah. So
it's
yeah,
too bad.
it sucks. I know. Okay, so pilot onboarding. We do a whole meeting on pilot onboarding. So, but just be note that there are changes for the better in most cases on how we onboard pilots into the Civil Air Patrol. But onboarding, I mean, and I'll gloss over it really quick, but you're a new pilot, you join Civil Air Patrol, you complete level 1, which we expect people to, we softly push people to complete level 1 within 90 days. It can be done within days. It doesn't take 90 days. But you get through that, and you get in touch with a CAP instructor. So a CAP instructor is going to be a CFI or CFII that is basically working for free for CAP, right? And you will take what's called an initial flight with that instructor that you are funded. It's called self-funded flight, which means you're renting the aircraft. But don't worry, you're going to be renting $1 million Cessna 182 with G1000s for like $89 an hour. So it's not horrible. You're never going to find that rate anywhere else, and you do have to refuel the aircraft. But after that first flight, in assuming you don't auger it in or bent the prop or something like that, you have a nice successful flight. The instructor will evaluate kind of how much more training you need, usually around 5 hours or so, and you will be part of the onboarding program, and the onboarding program, funded by the Air Force, pays for the rest of that training. So you only pay for that first flight. The rest the Air Force is paying for. And there's a way, and we'll talk about it later, there's a way you can kind of, I think they've changed it, so you can't get as many flights as you used to.
It's like one less per stage.
Yeah. So it used to be you start with the oldest, least advanced aircraft you can find and work your way up, because once you're in onboarding and you start with like a 172, although that's hard now, you can't really do it with the 172s, called the new 172s or G1000. But you'd start with a 182, normally aspirated round dial. We say round dial, but a G500 counts as a round dial. Figure that one out. Get qualified in that. Take your Form 5. Go find a 182 turbo. Get qualified in that. Go find a G1000. Get qualified in that. Step up to the 206, right? Each of these will be funded, right? And we get one less flight now per mode or per jump, but that's still quite a bit of flying that you're going to get for free. And then once you're done with all of that, to keep renewing all of those models, you just need to fly the most advanced plane you can find every year. So every year you'll go take your Form 5. This squadron has a turbo 206 with G1000. So you fly, you take your recurrent Form 5 and a turbo 206 G1000, it will renew all the other aircraft that you have Form 5 in. Now, if you start with a turbo 206 G1000, you won't be qualified to fly the 182s yet. That's right. So just look at it as free flying. Anyways, there's a lot more to that whole discussion. Moving on, debriefing. Good. For those of you that were whammos, thank you very much. It went super smoothly, except
Even if we were late.
but it's not just your fault. It's not your fault. They changed the day like, so the way Rangzulia had it is it was missing a day. So I did that day because I was like, ooh, that's my fault. But I have fixed it in the going forward. But it was super smooth. I don't know why Josh complained so much, but it everybody just kind of did their thing.
I was
Um,
joking, but I do apologize. I don't know why. I had it on my calendar as the following day.
it is what it is. So for those of you who don't know, WAMO is the Wing Mission Alert Officer. It's the CAP's 911. So CAP is typically tasked by the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center, the AFRCC. So back in the day, back in the old days when there's dinosaurs walking the land, um, a plane would go down, an ELT would go off. The ELT is picked up by a low orbit satellite, which then forwards into the AFRCC. AFRCC would then task a local CAP wing to go and search for that ELT. Because ELTs, as you know, before the 406 ELTs are very non-directional, so you have to search for them. So that's why I say back in the day, because it doesn't really happen so much that way anymore. Typically, it's going to be some Yahoo doing a slam and go, sets off his ELT, then parks his plane in the hangar and goes home for the night. And then we usually will get a ground team that's dispatched to an airport to search for which hangar the ELT is going off on, or if it's on the ramp. But that call, whether it comes from the AFRCC, local sheriff's office, local police department, forestry, whoever the incoming call is coming from, when they call CAP and it's California Wing, it goes to whoever's currently on duty as the Wing Mission Alert Officer, which typically just means our cell phone. We have a whole app, the app that's not an app, that routes that call to your cell phone. It's a super simple assignment. It's really just you're the intermediary. Somebody has to answer the phone. Somebody has to take that information down, and then somebody has to go find an incident commander. This is largely an automated process. It's click, it's listen, 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 right. Click a button, tell. I'm done. Like that's pretty much it. So that's WAMO. I am the group mission alert officer, and anybody could be a WAMO. It's one of those volunteer duties that we all do, and ours always comes up during Christmas, so super exciting. But what else are we doing? Anyways, went smoothly. I didn't hear a single thing from Wadsworth, so that's always a good sign. Last round, I had a lot of talking with Wadsworth, so that was good. Yes, sir.
How often is there an actual alert that needs to be action?
I had some, like I said, so the previous run, I think was in August. I had a bunch of pre-calls, like so the wing guy was calling me like, "You're gonna get a call from the sheriff's department." Okay, and then I waited, and then I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and there was no call from the sheriff's department. So they don't happen very often, but they do happen. Like so, whenever you see, if you're curious, there is actually a website that you can sign up, alerting, like cap alerting, that every time somebody opens a mission, for search or whatever, you'll get a text. And I signed up for that because I was curious. Maybe once a month. So that there you go. Now it's not all search and rescue because, like I said, most search and rescue is not actually done by flying planes anymore. Most of our search and rescue is by cell phone forensics. We have a group in Montgomery, I think, that does it. But we practice for it all the time. So cool stuff. That's WAMO. IPL. So last week, Andre and I were down at Imperial. So for those of you Jones and to be pilots or MOs, once you're in Civil Air Patrol for at least 2 years, or you're an active duty law enforcement officer, you can qualify for what we call counter drug. Counter drug has nothing to do with drugs, other than don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. It's mostly working with law enforcement is what it is. Is now you are enabled to be on missions that interface with our local law enforcement. and that includes Border Patrol, and it includes the Coast Guard, and the Sheriff's Department sometimes. One of the long-running missions we have is we go down to Imperial. For those of you who don't know Imperial, it's on the border, it's El Centro. And we fly at 1,000 feet AGL, 90 knots, and we fly along the border and make a presence. Because what you will learn when you do MS is the odds of you seeing a human walking on the ground at 1,000 feet while you're doing 90 knots are very, very minimal. But we're a giant white, well, not giant, but we're a big red, white, and blue aircraft flying slowly along the border. It typically means people aren't going to cross where we are. Although that's not really true that much anymore. That is the job. It's a lot of flight hours. So those of you who are looking to build time, you get to mission pilot, and it is 20 hours on a weekend, something like that. I mean, we're doing 3-hour sorties twice a day, plus the relocation. So it's a decent amount of flying. It's not exciting flying. One of the routes is a little more exciting than the other, but it's a lot of hands-on stick time. Lots, and most of us, even if it's boring, we still want to do it. So it's a good mission. We did it over, like I said, it was Andre and I in Cap 418. No issues. No problems. I think Andre's had a little streak of bad luck when he goes down there, but nothing happened this time. Yeah, he's had a couple things go on. But it's one of so the stats. So what is this mission? Well, yeah, it sounds incredibly boring, but it is one of the missions that we do. But we go down there. We went down Thursday night. We're in hotels. We are there in El Centro. We don't wear uniforms for this mission. There's reasons for that. And we're up before sunrise because we need to be kind of airborne during their shift changes. So that's what we do. It's fun. And you're going to meet people from Civil Air Patrol that you would normally never meet, because this is a duty performed by all groups, not just Group 3 or, this group. Everybody in the California wing. So this particular weekend was actually Northern California's week. So they had a long 5-hour reload down to Imperial, and then they flew all weekend, and they had a long 5-hour reload back. So again, if you're looking to fly, once you kind of get through all the bureaucracy and whatnot, there's a lot of flying to be done. And on that note, Group 3 doesn't have a lot of pilots, and especially mission pilots. So when we say pilots in CAP, we're typically referring to anybody who's finished at least one Form 5 in one aircraft, right? That is a CAP pilot, CAP VFR pilot. If you have your IFR, you can turn that into a CAP IFR pilot. That means you can fly one type of airplane, but that is a CAP pilot. But there are different types of pilots. There's CAP VFR pilot, which can't do anything but like rent the plane in flight proficiency. Then there are transport mission pilots. Once you get closer to 100 hours? 100 hours. 100 hours PIC, 50 hours cross country. And then you take a couple FEMA courses because now you're part of the system. And some communications. So you got to take the communications course, so Chuck doesn't yell at you for using the wrong words on the radio. And you take the FEMA courses so you understand CAP's role inside of the larger FEMA body of incident management. And then you too will be a transport mission pilot. What do transport mission pilots do? 2 missions that they're authorized to do. They can move the aircraft, so maintenance, passengers, we just need an aircraft relocated. This weekend, we have more planes than pilots. So any transport mission pilot can fly the plane from its current location to Riverside, right, and back. That's transport mission pilot mission. They can also fly hybrid. Little bit of a misnomer, but hybrid is typically we fly high, usually 10,000 feet, and we fly in a big racetrack. And the job of the hybrid is when ground teams are in mountainous terrain where they can't normally communicate line of sight with our repeaters, they communicate with the aircraft. And the aircraft's MO typically will relay to base. So those are 2 missions that TMPs can do. And just in case you think it's like, oh, that's boring, flying racetracks, they can also be TMPs for our WADS missions. So our WADS missions are where the Air Force practices intercepting us like targets. They can also, in fact, when I was doing my MO training, we were doing racetracks up over, man, where was it? It's up in the mountains, basically, and we were getting 45 knot, crosswinds. And so we're basically flying sideways, doing racetrack kind of sideways. So there's a little bit of, fun to flying a racetrack. But those are the two missions TMPs can do. Two types of missions they can do. And then there are mission pilots. Mission pilots, that's a different type of check ride. So you are specifically trained and tested on search and rescue, flying search grids, knowing the type of search grids to fly for certain types of searches. But really, it's more about safely handling the aircraft, being able to land short field, being able to make judgment calls on what we do with the aircraft, and there's a separate course for mountain flying. But mission pilots are thoroughly tested in their stick and rudder skills. Basically, is where it is. It came from back in the day, back in the dinosaurs and windmills. Back in those days, like I said, you cannot see a human at 1,000 feet, 90 knots. It's very difficult to spot a human. So back in those days, you would search at 1,000, and they would drop to 500 feet AGL to verify targets. We don't do that anymore. At least I don't think we do that anymore. I know they don't let us do it at APL. But it's mission pilot is making sure that your stick and rudder are very good and that you understand flying the grids. Otherwise, it's safe operation of the aircraft. So once you're a mission pilot, the rest of the mission profiles open up to you, which can be anything from normal SARXs and things like that to ORIDEs. The most wanted mission of any of the groups and any of the wings is every single cadet is guaranteed five ORIDEs, orientation flights, where they get to sit in the front next to the pilot and play with the controls, right? Doesn't mean you have to be a CFI. They're going to get a little bit of time on the stick. You're going to be guarding all the controls, making sure we don't crash and stall and spin. But it's to get them excited about the flying. Every cadet is guaranteed 5 flights during their time as a cadet. So if you start looking at it, how many cadets do we have? If I don't time out, no, of course I'm going to time out. Why? Of course. Why wouldn't I not time out?
We're about even. I think there's like 3,000.
So yeah, just in the wing, right? There's 2,200 cadets. I don't know how many are in our group, but let's say it's 500 cadets. Well, I don't know, it's probably more, but let's say it's 500. That's 500 times 5 O flights. How many pilots do we have in Group 3? Like I said, I think there's 5 pilots, and there's 3 of them that are mission pilots. And you don't have to be a mission pilot to be ORIDE capable, but you do have to have 200 hours PIC and be a transport mission pilot. And then you too can fly cadets. We don't have enough pilots that can fly cadets. There's this, cadet squadrons are going to EAA and other things like that to get their cadets up in the air. It's embarrassing. In Group 3, this is a specific Group 3 problem. Group 7 doesn't have this problem. Group 1 doesn't have this problem. This is a Group 3 problem. So more pilots, more flying, more cadets in the air. That's actually the most wanted mission right now. So once you get to that level, 200 hours PIC, a couple female lessons and a couple of ORIDE, how to be safe with a cadet who is probably sleeping. The kids don't care these days. But it's a lot of flying. So something to strive for. Questions, comments? All right. I was going to talk about a presentation, but I'll save it. There's a really good presentation on ELT. We talked about ELTs a little bit, but 406 ELTs are a little bit different. We'll do a little round robin here. Paul, since your name's first up here and the other 2 guys aren't here, anything to add?
I think you covered it all.
Woohoo! Excellent.
From the Ops Emergency Services.
Excellent. Mr. Lopez.
Well, I have with me a form that I'm going to have you verify I get stuff right on.
Nope.
to adopt the classroom in San Bernardino.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
And I am. I was just also just a general suggestion is if anybody wants to hear some interesting ATC chatter, listen to Ontario's ATC over tomorrow because you hear the airline pilots complaining about the wind like crazy right now.
Well, that and giant TFRs everywhere.
That too. But
So I work right across the street from where the president sleeps, so getting to work was super exciting yesterday. So,
But yeah, there was the one and also with the pirate. There's one pirate was a Embraer reported a loss of 1,500 feet in 10 seconds.
fun. Yeah, I didn't even think to look at the PyReps because this is always super exciting. I heard it sounded like the Confederate commemorative Air Force. It sounded like them tooling around, and I was like, "Did they not hear the winds?" Like, I mean, because they always cruise by my house when they do their little, route. And I could have swore I heard that plane, and I'm like, "These guys are nuts." So, anyways,
That's all I got.
yep. I mean, it's the beginning of the year. Safety, be safe. No, the safety topic is actually, I believe it's cold weather safety. Don't get frostbite. Anyone live in Big Bear? Yeah, I don't worry about it. But yeah, just be aware of the weather as it's picking up. Let's see, standards and evaluation. Nope. Finance. Woohoo! Pay your dues.
Basically, yes. Group is still, or I should say, wing is still a little bit behind on our
Everything.
figure out what our statements are. So we're trying to do our best with keeping up with our ledger to making sure that we're in the black, but because we don't have any statements from wing, it's basically a shot in the dark at the moment. So until Jerry can get up to speed.
Wow. I think he has an assistant or something, or I think they hired a full-time bookkeeper, I believe is what they said. Plus, I heard your name being tossed around. Be ready for this weekend because you're a group finance officer, right? So it's an advanced SARX, which means there's going to be a lot of people here, and it means they're going to be ordering lots of food. So they're going to be collecting lots of funds. So I heard your name being tossed around quite a bit. So just be ready for that.
There was something about a check from last SOREX that was collected. I don't know.
I think it's Carol you need to hunt down because she typically is she's the finance section chief. So I would make sure hit her up because last time she was like, I don't know what to do. So you tell her what you want. It's easier. Anyways, pay your dues. Maintenance. Well, they're still back there maintenancing away. Chuck, you know about anything?
No, I mean right now the airplane is fully functional, fully mission capable. Again, the vehicle is good to go. So
Hopefully it's not
big
tied up
announcements
at
on-
hopefully it's not tied up at upper porta ports.
Yeah.
Kathleen, anything hidden inside?
Well, I got the notification about Chris's promotion, but it says I'm supposed to be doing some stuff with the records. And so I'm gonna get with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, we submit them electronically now, so I don't know if there's actually anything that we put in the record anymore.
Yeah, your responsibility to ensure all the cap property assets and records associated with this promotion.
Whatever.
Like, really?
Yeah, I that might just be boilerplate.
Okay.
He doesn't have any radios assigned to him, nor any vehicles, so he should be fine. And then we don't update the master record anymore, so.
Yeah, I think like the next week it should show his,
Or
his
whenever
lieutenant maybe on the
everybody does all the clicky, it'll be
I
official.
don't think we put it in. I think it's automatic. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what it looks
It's
like
kind of
next week.
weird how they do that. Oh,
It's already
yeah.
there. Oh, it's already there.
So. I mean, it's weird. I mean, so it gets weird because we're so low on members. I mean, so I'm the squadron commander, but I'm also the Group 3 personnel officer, so it would have come to me anyway. So it's really weird. Yeah. Okay. So all of our vehicles work. That's good. Personal development. Nothing. I mean, pretty much everything I talked about today is in professional development. So great. Anything going on, BIO?
We're doing some drone activity on Sundays. Anybody's welcome. Chuck's been heading it off. We had a good time last weekend.
Just Sundays in general?
Sundays, yeah.
Ooh.
So far.
It's not official cap.
Oh, okay.
We're just
Okay.
getting together Sunday afternoons in Norco. If you want details, shoot
Ah.
me an email.
Yeah, we can put it in there. All right. All right.
And we do have NIST buckets, if you're familiar with that, and maneuvering around the
Ooh.
NIST buckets. Is
Oh.
interesting.
Interesting. Okay. All right. That's pretty cool.
Following the launches from SpaceX, possibly on the 10th, will be their Starship launch. It's their 7th.
Ooh.
So it's a big one.
Yeah, the Starship thing, when those things blow up, they're spectacular.
So you see that on YouTube or go to SpaceX.com.
Cool. Cool. Comms? I think we
discussed
talked
it.
about a
We're
lot.
all good
Yeah.
to go.
IT. Only thing I could say is, just the general. Watch out for scams and stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Health services. Anything to aside from norovirus that everybody has gotten?
Well, I'm hoping to get back into my presentations this
Mhm.
year, but being both group and unit finance officer, that's kind of taken up a lot of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to get back into how basically health services and being a pilot, how they coincide and topics of that nature like I did.
There have been changes in basic med, so that could be an interesting topic. I can't remember what all the changes are, but there were some significant changes in basic med.
And if anyone has any information, of course, any kind of topics.
Yeah, see, you don't have to wait for the RN to do all the stuff. And then logistics, I think we don't have anything. So, it's a reminder, we are meeting next week, same bat time, same bat channel. No changes so far in the schedule. Anything else before we fully adjourn? Going once, going twice. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody online. Have a good one.